Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our TNA episode for the week. Let's jump right into it with our so-so portion tonight. Basically, it's not good, it's not bad, it was just there. First thing is the opening segment with Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, and Eric Young. Setting up the main event. I've said it on the WWE show that we do, I'll say it here. WWE relies on the authority figure opening, TNA relies on the world champion opening. Both of them do it a little bit too much. It loses its appeal in my opinion, thus making it a boring segment. Now next up, coming from that, we have the new group of The Rising, Drew Galloway, Micah, aka formerly Camacho, and Eli Drake, known on the independent scene as Sean Ricker. And they're coming out talking about the Beatdown Clan, which sends up a six-way match between the two teams, which ends up in a schmoz when Homicide comes and reveals himself to be the new fourth member of the BDC. There's two reasons why this makes it here. It almost made it into the bad portion. Two things that I think TNA relies on way too much. One, too many factions, too many gangs. You got two in this group, The Rising and the BDC. Also on the show, you have the Revolution, you have the Bromance group with DJZ. There's all kinds of factions. It's too much. Now, the other thing that they rely on too much is talent that's throwaway talent from WWE. Not saying that they're bad, but just guys that have been fired. Both Camacho and Eli Drake, who was in NXT, have recently been fired, along with Drew Galloway, who's, probably out of the three, the more famous of the three to be fired. It kind of makes it, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, there are certain guys that they've hired from WWE that have helped. Mr. Anderson, Ethan Carter III, Bram, all guys that have distanced themselves from the WWE. Problem with it is if I'm flipping through and I see TNA for the first time, it looks like a show full of WWE castaways. Even in this match, you have MVP as well. And Kenny King, who originally came from Tough Enough, but most people won't remember that. Just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, which made it in the so-so section. Next up, we have the teams that are going to make up the tag tournament for the vacated titles. Hardy's come out first, talk about how they're going to win. EC3 comes out, brings out his partner Bram, which brings out Mr. Anderson and his partner Rockstar Spud, which brings out Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. To me, it just felt flat. It felt like a time waster. They could easily made a graphic that told us all this without filling it up. Kind of weird that they have three teams that are going to be in there that have basically been thrown together. I know Roode and Aries have been tag team champions before, but they haven't been team in a while, so just kind of weird in my opinion. Next up, we have the bad portion of the night, and this time I actually remembered to write the name of the show down. The Ghost Asylum portion, again, is the only thing bad. This time, it weirdly seems like they're making the Revolution out to be ghosts, which I don't get at all. Because we all know they're not. Just a weird, strange segment that felt out of place. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go right into our question of the week. The question of last week was, who is the new face of TNA? Before I get into my answer, I'm going to get into some of yours. First is from our friend Clover Cold 89. I would have to say currently Bobby Roode is the face of TNA. Next up, from Rain Lazy 92, you can make a case for the face of TNA being Angle, Hardy, Rude, or Aries. But I think right now I have to say EC3 is the face of TNA. He still needs to improve in the ring, but his character, mic ability, and him getting reactions wherever he goes can't be ignored. And last but not least, from Ashley Marie, Austin Aries or maybe Bobby Roode are the faces of TNA. Yeah, the Ghost Hunter bit was lame again, at best. I'll give Eric Young this, he made a badass performer. Angle still has it though. Pure workout indeed. Lashley, as you stated before, is just overrated. Great page as always, keep up the good work. So got a couple different things, Aries, Angle, Rude, Lashley. I wholeheartedly believe, and I don't really understand why he's not marketed as such, but Bobby Roode, I believe, is the best wrestler they have. You could also go another way with it, and here's where I was kind of torn between these two people. Bobby Roode and Gail Kim. Now, Gail Kim to me is just as much the face of TNA as Bobby Roode is. Because to me, she constantly puts on as good of matches, if not better, than anybody on the roster. She brings in the excitement, she brings in the feud, she brings in what she does. So I would have to say male face, Bobby Roode, female face, Gail Kim. That's my opinion. Now the question week for this week is, who do you think is going to be the next person inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put your comments down where? Down there in the little box. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the good portion of the night. Just spoke about her. Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong. Another match in their amazing series. I don't care how many times you put these two in the ring against each other. Every time you do, they deliver. Every time they do, no matter where they are on the card, they give an amazing match. Kong picks up the win. Could have went either way. I thoroughly enjoy what they do with each other. I thoroughly enjoy them as a pairing. Two of the top women in women's wrestling in the world, in my opinion. Next up, we have a Revolution 3-way. James Storm says for the tag tournament next week, I'm going to let you three guys fight it out. The winner of the 3-way gets to be my partner. We have Manic versus Abyss versus Koya. Koya picks up the win, seems to be willing to be a little more violent than the other two. James Storm seems to enjoy this. So we got Koya and Storm into that. I really like this. This kind of reminded me of something like a Kevin Sullivan or a Raven would do with their groups. Kind of where I think they're wanting to go with James Storm's group is to make him one of those style groups. So it was a fun, exciting, cool little segment. Next up we have DJZ Zema Ion versus Davey Richards. I'll say this about both ends. DJZ Zema Ion, I think, is not getting the credit or the publicity he deserves. I think he's a fantastic talent. I think he has a fantastic gimmick. I think he should be more towards the top of the X Division card. Now, Davey Richards, same thing. I think he's amazing talent. I think TNA has married him to Eddie Edwards a little bit too much. Maybe he's too ingrained in everybody's head as the Wolves now. However, in Ring of Honor, he was able to break from that and become his own single star, so hopefully he does as well. A very good match, two good talents. Richards picks up the win. I didn't think it was going to go any other way, but it was a good match all in all. Which leads us to the main event of the night, Eric Young versus Bobby Lashley versus Kurt Angle. This was a good match again. Angle picks up the win. Angle gets the win cleanly. They get to keep Lashley saying he hasn't lost one-on-one in a fair fight. It gets to keep Eric Young going forward. Eric Young and Lashley might be the feud going forward from the actions in the match. Just a different, a cool little thing. gives you questions towards the end of what's going to happen next, which is always good. You want to leave a cliffhanger so people come back to see the results of it. Now, going from that, before we go into our ratings, I want to send out a reminder, and we've been getting an awesome response on this, and I thoroughly appreciated everybody and everything you're doing. Remember, for the month of April, we're pushing to get to 500 subscribers. Right now, as of the time I sat down to tape this episode, we are at 478, 22 away. It can be done, folks. It's jumped up 8 since we started this, just a bit over a week ago, so it can be done. It can make it there. How we're going to do it, and I'll explain if you haven't seen any of the other episodes where I've mentioned this. If you like what I'm doing here, if you like the page, if you like the videos, like them, comment on them, and share them. The more likes you give, the more views the videos get, the more shares it gets, the more your friends are going to see if you share it, and most likely you have friends that are wrestling fans as well, much like I have friends that are wrestling fans. If I want to promote something wrestling related, I show my friends this. They might get into it, might subscribe, might become one of the 500. Also, the more views, the more likes, the more YouTube promotes the show. So YouTube promoting the show brings people that may have similar interests, but they haven't guided our way yet, and may guide them there. Putting it out on something like Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere you want to, in Reddit, on Instagram, in message boards. The more the name gets out, the Heel Heat name, the more we're going to have people coming and watching, which is the ultimate goal of any YouTube channel. There's no one on YouTube that doesn't want more viewers. I'd love to have thousands and thousands of viewers. I love the viewers I have. It really makes me happy to see when I do something like this, the response I get, which has been very positive. We've had a ton of likes, a ton of views, a ton of shares, a ton of comments. It's been great. It's been a fantastic response. All I'm asking is we keep it up, we keep hammering this. The strive to 5, we're going to give, by the end of April, I want to be at 500 subscribers, and I need your help to do it. So let's get that ball, keep that ball rolling right down the track. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our ratings for the week. We have a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. 1 is a Tyrus, 2 is a Rockstar Spud, 3 is a Gunner, 4 is a James Storm, 5 is a Bobby Roode. I'm going to give the show a 3, a Gunner. A lot of segments that kind of felt in that so-so area, kind of made it, I don't know, less than a great episode in my opinion. Just kind of fell flat at places. So I give it a 3, I give it a Gunner. Basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.